Good morning, Starlight. This hell says hello. Not that there's anything particularly good about it, or that there's anything to indicate it's morning, actually. Because why should time matter here, right? Ugh. It's a little early in the potentially not morning for a patronizing lesson in the power of words, don't you think? I call this place hell because that's what it is. I'm not giving it power. I'm stating fact. It's modeled to look like hell. It's serving as a place of theoretically endless torment for me, and now for you. So I'd say it fits the bill. You do like to fixate on word choice, don't you? Whatever floats your proverbial boat, I guess. Yes, I did say endless. And that wasn't an exaggeration. You haven't been here long, I grant you that. But have you noticed that you haven't gotten hungry or thirsty? You didn't even need to sleep. Your body did it because it's a habit. And I'm sure the stillness in your mind may have been refreshing, but from a biological standpoint, it was unnecessary. Our bodies are in some kind of magical suspension, a stasis, held in this pocket of the meridian. Our minds are here in this extrapolation. Like I said yesterday, pain is real here, even if it's imagined. Physical sensations feel real, but no actual lasting damage is done. It's like a dream. A horrifically vivid shared dream that you can't wake up from because you aren't actually asleep. But in wildly oversimplified terms, it's like a dream. But before you lament not being a dreamwalker, again, as stated, not actually a dream. Believe me, I've tried using conventional dream work magic on this. It's not applicable. This is something far more complicated. So is this to be my new fate since pulling you in here? A new layer added to this hellish trap of you fixating on every passing phrase I utter? You know, if you focus some of this laser sight perceptiveness at getting us out of here, we'd probably be out by now. Instead, you delight in using it to try and paint me into a corner, it seems. Yes, I know that pain is real, but lasting harm is not, from personal experience. This can be a dangerous place. Without getting into details, there was a situation here where, if this was real life, I would have died. And I felt every ounce of the pain that would have been associated with it. Yet here I stand, unscathed. This place is in our minds, in a way that is so closely woven into us that our brains believe it. I can feel the smoke in the air burning at my lungs. I can feel how sharp the stones are. Take my hand. See? I'm real. You're real. I feel you, and I see you. But the true us, our bodies, are hanging somewhere in the meridian, in my collapsed rift. And, unless I'm mistaken, the longer we stay here, the more tightly bound we become. Like a needle, stitching our edges into the fabric of the meridian. So you can imagine why I might want to get to work on this sooner rather than later. Being a teacher is hardly in my wheelhouse, but if this is going to work, there are things that you need to know. Things that I doubt you learned at that damned academy. See what I did there? Most empowered humans don't care to learn much about demons. And demons. Both spellings. And a lot of demons. And demons would prefer it that way, too. We tend to keep things close to the vest. But I don't have that luxury with you. We need to know each other. Understand one another. Or we're never getting out of here. So, first up, rifting. Seems appropriate since it's what got us in this mess in the first place. Demons can do it. Humans can't. Let's pause a moment for my race's collective gloating chuckle. Basically, rifts act as portals from the magical realm to the human realm, and from the human one to the magical one. If you were to see a demon rift from one point in the human realm to another, like to the other side of a locked door or something, it would seem to the pedestrian eye that they had gone directly from human point A to human point B. But that's not the case. All rifts route through the magical plane. So it's actually human point A, magical point B, human point C. That's why humans can't do it. Because you can't exist on the magical plane. As for the why of that particular reality of yours, I can't say. Demons haven't really concerned themselves with the study of that, because it's not about us. But it's an inalienable truth. More's the pity for your kind. Anyway, when a demon passes through a rift, there's an instant, an incalculable moment when we're in the meridian, slipping through the weave of it like water running through a cloth before we land on the far side. This trap formed in that impossible instant. It held me in place at the event horizon. It's still holding me, and now you. Somehow that man I was feeding on, his magic and mine collided while I was trying to get away. And that collision collapsed my rift with me still inside it. It's not something I've ever heard of happening, which isn't exactly reassuring either. For all I know, there could be plenty of other demons that have gotten trapped like this over the eons, and no one knows, because they never got out. But that's where you come in. I don't reach across the meridian for my powers. They come from within me. I don't know the barrier like you do. You reach through it every day, every time you call on your abilities. And you don't just punch through it. You slip through the cracks. You bend the wall around you rather than bringing the wall down. Different people have different relationships with their powers. It's like anything else. Everyone's situation is unique, but there is a norm. The norm, in this case, is brute force. Break the barrier, take what you want, and go. That won't work here. I'm using particularly aggressive language to describe the act, but in reality, in comparison to the sheer magnitude of the meridian, the so-called punch through that your kind usually employs is more of a pinprick, a tiny opening, however forcefully it's made. We need something much bigger. We need to get our entire bodies out of the barrier, and the meridian heals itself, seals the wounds cut into it. That's why it's trying to stitch us into the fold. It wants to be whole again. There's no way we could carve an opening large enough for ourselves against the strength of its reparative force. It would close itself back up before we could even finish opening it. So to put it in my terms from yesterday, the sledgehammer won't work. We need more finesse. We need to stretch the barrier and slip out between the threads of the knit. Which means we need to understand your unique relationship with the meridian. Foster it. Capitalize on it. And then use it to slip back into reality. I say all of that, and your question is why I call it the magical plane? Seriously? How fixated on word choice can you actually be? No, of course we don't call it the magical plane. It's our home. It has a name. I'm just trying to put it in terms you'd be familiar with. Now shut up and focus. You, me, Meridian, out. Unless you plan on staying in this artificial hell for all eternity. Personally, not a big fan of fire and brimstone. Not really my vibe. And you'll notice that limbo is conveniently missing from this auspicious display. That would at least hold some measure of interest. That magic-wielding fuck from whose twisted mind this imagery sprung probably didn't even know the book well enough to remember that not everywhere in Dante's hell was torturous. But I digress. There are places here where the illusion isn't fully formed. Gaps in the imagery. Like black voids. Darker than black, actually. Nothingness. You can feel the meridian there. Feel the edges of this place. That's where we need to go. Where we need to start testing your abilities, stretching your metaphorical magical muscles, as it were. Let's go. What? What do you mean, no? Quid pro quo. Well, what exactly would you want in such an exchange? Pray tell. My coffers are a bit limited at the moment, as you might imagine. My words and my wit are about all I have at my disposal at this point. And notice I didn't include my patience on that list. You really are curious, aren't you? Aria. We call our home, the source of your magic, Aria. Now let's go, before you find something else in my words to hyper-analyze.